Welcome back, Hive Mind. This is Shalazar with Hive Mind Gaming, coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video. So today we're going to take a look at update 4.70, and man, there are some controversial stuff going on here. First off, they've got some nerfs coming in that is going to piss a lot of people off. Well, a single nerf, I guess it is. And then they've got some updates, or some balancing. Some of them are really good, and some of them are, man, they could have been better. But let's get into it. Alright, so the first buff is going to be Tila Gormane. So the first thing on our list is her speed. Her base speed is going to be increased to 93 and 98 when ascended. Alright, then next we've got her A1. Currently, it's attacks one enemy, steals one random buff from a target. Well, it's going to be steals one random enemy from a target. Also has a 50% chance of stealing another random buff if the target is under 2 or more buffs. Alright, and then we've got the Pyro Strike, level 1. Attacks one enemy, places an HP burn debuff for 2 turns, places a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns if the attack is critical. So now it's going to be, the cooldown is going to be 3 turns instead of 4. So now it is going to be, places a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns, period. You don't have to hit with a critical, it just automatically does it. So that's actually pretty good. Does it make her playable? I mean, in Doom Tower she's already good, but I don't know. I don't know if that makes her really playable. Because most people were gonna run her at 100% crit rate anyway. I don't know. But I guess if you get a weak hit or something, it means she's still going to place the continuous heal, where before she wouldn't. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes her any better or worse. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I don't know. Alright, next we've got Robar. His base speed is going to increase to 97. Wow, plus 10 to his base speed. Alright, then we've got Merciless Assault. Currently, it's attacks all enemies. Damage increases if the target is under sleep, stun, or freeze debuffs. Now it's attacks all enemies. Damage increases if the target is under fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, and stunned debuffs. Wow. So before it was sleep, stun, freeze. Now it's they're adding fear, true fear, and provoke to that list. That's pretty darn good. I mean, this guy was pretty annoying already in Arena. That's gonna make him even. I mean, he was already pretty strong, and he just looks sick. But I mean, he was already pretty strong. I think that's gonna make him pretty viable. Yeah, well, you'll probably start seeing him a lot more, is my guess. Alright, next we've got King Garog, who is probably one of the coolest looking champs, minus the angels. But yeah, he looks pretty sick. Those you would think that those 2 big weapons he's got would do some damage. Alright, so first off, his Gore Maker, which is his attacks all enemies, will ignore 20% of each target's defense, will ignore a further 5% of defense each buff on the target. So that's actually going to get a damage multiplier increase. So that's going to hit way harder than it did already. But it's still on a 6-turn cooldown, booked down to a 5-turn cooldown. Every 5 turns, I just don't know that makes him viable. Does that make him a better nuker than, say, someone like Trenda or the Epic from Demon Lord's Magnar? that we got out of the fusion a couple of fusions ago. I don't know. I guess we're going to have to see how those multipliers roll out. All right, so next on our buff list, the one that everyone has been waiting on. Whoops, wrong one. Wrong elf. The one that everybody's been waiting on, Pixnell. She looks pretty cool. I think everybody wanted her playable because she looks so darn badass. All right, so first off, we've got her Mistress of Glamours, her A1. Currently, its attacks one enemy has a 30% chance of placing a Veil buff on a random ally for 1 turn. Cannot place the Veil buff on this champion. So they changed that to places, or attacks one enemy has a 30% chance of placing a perfect Veil buff for 1 turn on the ally with the lowest HP. So that's better. I wish that the percentage went up, but the fact that it, instead of a random ally, it goes on the ally with the lowest HP, that's actually a lot better. A lot better. And then her Frost Weaver currently is whenever an enemy places a freeze debuff on an ally, has a 20% chance of stealing the freeze debuff and placing it on this champion instead. Has a 25% chance of filling this champion's turn meter by 25% every time they receive a freeze debuff, and then has a 35% chance of removing any freeze debuff from this champion at the start of every turn. If there are multiple champions in the team with this skill, only one will activate. All right, so it actually, the first line, or first paragraph, whatever, whenever an enemy places a freeze debuff on an ally is all the same, except that has a 50% chance of stealing the freeze debuff and placing it on a champion instead, which is really good. The second line has a 35% chance of filling this champion's turn meter. That's pretty good. Still, I mean, it's still low chance. I like the 50% chance of stealing, even though it should be it just does it. She's a legendary. This should be something that it just does. But the third line, this is where it really buffs, where a really good buff comes in. It removes any freeze debuffs from this champion at the start of every turn. That is amazing. So she will always just automatically remove it from her every turn. So that's the only thing that they did to Pixnell. Now, is that going to make her viable? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, I guess making it to where she makes her whole team immune to freeze, because that's what it would essentially do, right? If she stole all the freezes from her team, then that would essentially make her have the ability to make the rest of her whole team immune to freeze. Even Sify has a chance to remove freeze off of her teammates at the beginning of their turn. So this is similar. It just does it differently, right? So Sify has a 40% chance to remove freeze and fear from her allies at the beginning of their turn. But she has a 50% chance. She will have a 50% chance to remove the freeze debuff when it's placed. I'm not sure that that's better, because if they're under freeze debuff, they receive less damage. So pulling the freeze debuff at the beginning of their turn is definitely going to be better than pulling the debuff when it's placed, but it still has a better chance of succeeding of removing that debuff. So I don't know. Kind of neat that they're slightly different. They work slightly different. But yeah, I don't know. I still don't think that makes her playable. I just don't. All right, next. Actually, someone I didn't think was that bad to begin with. I mean, I understand why they buffed him, because I'd say there's not a lot of people that play him, because though he's not bad, there are way better poisoners out there. That's the problem. So he's not a bad champion. There's just better. So I can understand why they buffed him. Okay, so first off, they go to his Death Burst, which I believe is this one. So currently its attack has a 70% chance that books up to a 100% chance of placing 2 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for 1 turn. If the hit is critical, has a 70% chance, again, books up to a 100% chance of placing 4 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for 1 turn. Alright, so basically what they did is they changed it from 1 turn to 2 turns. So it now becomes a 2-turn poison, which is pretty huge. I mean, pretty huge. It's pretty good. That is definitely pretty good. Yeah, so that makes him a definitely viable poisoner in a lot of places. That is for sure. And then next is his Blight, which is also a really good ability, especially for clan boss. If you're not running Unkillable, it's just really good. But the turns, it's on a 6-turn cooldown, books down to a 5. So what they're doing is they're breaking it down to a 5-turn cooldown that books down to a 4, which is, again, really good when you're looking at waves or bosses, things like that. So that's going to make him very viable and up to date, I believe. And then lastly, what they did with his aura is increases allied defense in arena battles by 42%. They actually gave him increased accuracy in Doom Tower by 70%. Having accuracy in Doom Tower is huge, especially in Doom Tower Hard, because those targets you're looking for your accuracy is huge, and you need really good gear, and anyone with an accuracy aura is going to definitely help you get there. So yeah, this is a definitely good buff for him, and I think that's gonna make him very viable in Doom Tower and other places as well. Then we have Warchief, the meme himself. Where's he at? Let's see, Warchief, there he is. All right, so though really good in Doom Tower with the against the Scarab King, he is getting a buff. It's a small buff, but he is getting it. All right, for his Marauder attacks one enemy, places a provoke debuff for 3 turns, steals 2 random buffs from the target. So this is going down to a 3-turn cooldown. So when booked, it's going to be every 2 turns. Every 2 turns he's provoking. So this not only makes him even more viable against the Scarab King, but he's going to be a freaking nuisance in the arena. That's going to make him viable in a lot of places. The only problem is it attacks one enemy. If it was an AoE attack, I guess 2-turn AoE attack, ooh, that would make him gross. That would make him gross. Yeah. Yeah, so to be honest, yeah, he's probably still only viable against the Scarab King. But yeah, that would still be pretty gross against in arena to take out like a nuker or either a nuker or their speed booster, something like that. The target that just a single target shut them down. It's just a single target shut down. Pretty much is where that's going to come in arena. So yeah, I mean, he might be all right for that, but I don't know. There's probably better there's probably better meta for that kind of thing. So is that going to make him better? Yes. Is it going to make him playable? Probably not, other than the Scarab King. All right, next is Basilius, the guy that I have 4 copies of. Let's see, is this buff going to make me want to play this guy? I got him at 50. I've got one of him at 50 and I've never played him, to be honest. I've never played the guy. All right, so Basilius, what is he getting? His triple puncture. So his triple puncture currently is attacks one enemy 3 times, ignores shield and block damage buffs, as well as 50% of the target's defense. Now that sounds really good, but it just doesn't hit that hard. What are they changing it to? The damage multiplier increases. Yes. And attacks one enemy 3 times, will ignore increased defense buffs, shield, and block damage buffs, as well as 50% of the target's defense. That's huge. That's going to be huge. That's going to be a huge single target damage, and it hits 3 times. Yeah, that's going to be a single target nuker assassin right there. That's for sure. All right, then his Majesty. So currently his Majesty is attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance, that books up to a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1. Decreases each target's turn meter by 50% if the stun debuff is not placed. All right, so what did it change to? 1, his multipliers go up. Wow, nice. And this is an AoE attack. And then it has a 75% chance, which books up to a 100% chance of placing the stun debuff. So here, that's pretty cool. Does he need accuracy? Oh, he does have block buffs on his A1 that books up to 100%. Ooh, yeah, I don't know if you would really want him to have accuracy. I guess you don't have to. I guess you could just make it, give him 0 accuracy so that he just drops everybody's turn meter by 50%. That's pretty darn good. Yeah, that's pretty solid, actually. I guess that's always been the case, though. I guess you could do that now if you just don't book him. I never really thought about that. Yeah, dropping everybody's turn meter by 50% would be pretty solid. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, but either way, you have a good chance of stunning also. Stunning everyone is pretty darn good too. So, yeah. Wow. I don't know. That's a pretty good ability now. Attacks all enemies, and then it's gonna hit harder, plus has a 100% chance to stun, and if they have some artifacts or high resistance to where they don't take stun, they still lose 50% of their turn meter. That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. All right, so yeah, I guess I'll be leveling that guy to 60 so I can play with him when this patch goes in. All right, so next we have the Crypt King Grawl. Crypt King Grawl. All right, so his Bitterness Bane currently is attacks one enemy, has a 60% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. Soon it will be has a 100% chance instead if the target is under an HP burn debuff or a freeze debuff. Oh, that's pretty cool. So it's 60% right now, but if it's under, if the target is under HP or freeze, it'll be a 100% chance. That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, and then next we've got the Death's Fire. So currently, Death's Fire attacks 3 times at random, has a 50% chance of placing an HP burn debuff for 2 turns. I hate at random attack, especially on a legendary. All right, so what does it change to? First off, the damage multiplier increases. Fantastic. So it's going to hit harder. And then it changes it to it attacks all enemies. Has a 75% chance of placing an HP burn debuff for 2 turns. That's fantastic. So that means it's going to be an AoE HP burn attack. Yeah, that's good. Holy crap, that's really good. Because you could book it up to 100% chance every 3 turns. Wow, fantastic. That's going to make him viable for Spider and anything else that you need HP burn for. That is really good. All right, next. Everybody's favorite, War Mother. All right, gotta love this chick. All right, first off, her base attack, her base defense, and her bomb damage multiplier all are getting increased. And her base HP is getting decreased. So we're going to decrease her HP. We're going to increase her attack defense. And her bomb damage multiplier is getting increased. Wow, her bomb damage multiplier. Why don't they increase the bomb damage multiplier for everybody? Why isn't it just the same all across the board? I don't understand that. All right. Yeah, anyway, so her special brew currently is attacks all enemies, places 2 bomb debuffs that detonate after 3 turns. Bomb damage increases by 100% against bosses. Ooh, wow. Bomb damage increases by 100% against bosses. Okay. What that's going to do, it's going to drop it from 3 turns to 2 turns. So it's now going to be a 2-turn bomb. And then that books down to 3 turns. Yeah, so you're going to be placing it every 2 turns, basically, or every 3 turns, basically. Blows up. Yeah, okay. That's pretty good. All right. And then next you've got Mother's Touch. Currently is attacks all enemies, instantly detonates all bomb debuffs if the attack is critical. So what that's going to change to is attacks all enemies, instantly detonates all bomb debuffs if this champion is under an increased attack buff. Okay, so you don't have to crit with her. Now, all you've got to do is have an increased attack on her, and she detonates all bombs. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so she can't weak hit. She can still detonate the bombs even if she weak hits. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. That's really good. All right, next, someone who's been sitting in my vault for a while. Growhawk, where you at, buddy? Growhawk the Bloodied, who looks really, really cool. All right, so what do we do to Growhawk? First off, his Unbound Anger. It's currently attacks all enemies, fills this champion's turn meter by 20% for each enemy under a decreased speed debuff. So this guy has always been an enigma to me, because he just, if you read his kit, he just looks like he should be really good because he has so much turn meter manipulation. He steals it and he takes it and he gets faster, and oh man, it just looks like he should be doing so much damage, and he doesn't. He just doesn't. All right, so what did they do to it? First off, the cooldown decreases to 3 turns, so that's going to be on a 3-turn cooldown now instead of a 2-turn. And then attacks all enemies. Each critical hit fills this champion's turn meter by 20%. Oh wow! So they're getting rid of the decreased speed qualification here, and making it to where if he crits, for each crit, he gets 20%. Wow, so if he crits on all 5 people, assuming there's 5 enemies, if he crits on all 5, that would basically instantly give him another turn, basically. Holy crap, that is really good. That is really good. I can't wait to play this guy. All right, and then next, his Lord of War. is currently attacks one enemy and steals the target's turn meter. Okay, again, something that I thought sounded really good, right? So now it's going to be attacks one enemy, steals the target's turn meter. Places a 25% weaken debuff for 2 turns if this attack is critical. And why wouldn't you have it be critical if this ability is gonna get you tons more turn meter from... Yeah, I mean, this dude is gonna be awesome. I can't wait. I'm excited about this guy. Alright, now we go to the one that everyone is going to be crying in their milk. Eurogrim. You guys knew it was coming. I mean, you guys had to know that it was coming. Oh boy, people are not going to be happy about this one. Oh, such good abilities. Alright, so... Oh man. Alright, let's get into it. His first change is going to be on his A1 Skull Staff. It currently is attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 25% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. So now it's going to be only attacks 2 times. Attacks one enemy 2 times instead of 3. So everything else is still the same. So he's only going to have the chance of placing 2 5% poisons instead of 3. So, wow. Which is interesting because each hit only has a 25% chance that books up to a 45% chance. So there's a good chance that you could be leaving only 1 or 0. I just don't, that nerf doesn't make sense to me because yes, I understand that sometimes you'll place all 3. But there's going to be times that you only place 1 or 2. Now, even less. I don't know. That nerf doesn't make sense to me. All right, next is his Bizarre Vapors. Currently, it places 3 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. Also places 2 15% continuous heal buffs on all allies for 2 turns. So what does it change that to? First off, the cooldown increased to 6 turns. So now it's 6 turns that books down to 4 turns instead of 3 turns. So, oh, that's an ouch. And then it only places 2 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. Also places a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. So that's a huge nerf. Huge nerf. So now, fully booked, he's only gonna go this ability is every 4 turns instead of 3 turns. He's only gonna place 2 poisons and only 1 continuous heal. That is a huge nerf. High-end in-game players are still going to be able to solo with him, but for the average player, that makes him really nerfed. Oh man, nerfed. Oh, wow. I mean, that's probably the biggest nerf since Rotos. Since the Rotos nerf. Ouch. But, I mean, in fairness, he is an epic. He is an epic, and he played like a legendary. I mean, let's face it. Any epic that can solo level 25 dungeons. Oof. Alright, so that's it for the nerfs and the buffs. There's only one real nerf, which was Eurogrim. One of the other things that they're doing, which is super exciting, is they're adding 300 more slots to artifacts and accessory storage. So that's fantastic. And then last but not least, something that's really neat is they're adding a button to boss battles and in the Doom Tower I guess they're doing it for dungeons as well. Doom Tower dungeons, for every boss stage, things like that. They're adding a button that you can go in and get a full detail description of the boss and what the boss does, and a tips and tricks on how to beat the boss. And then they'll have a second tab that gives you the teams of the week, using air quotes, which basically shows the most successful teams that were used to defeat that boss, which is kind of neat because it'd give you an idea of what you could use to do it. I think what they could do, which would make it even that much better, is if you could go in and look at the equipment that each champ is using, so you could get a better idea of what they used to get there, or at the very least see what their stats are. Maybe not even care what their equipment is, because everybody's equipment's going to be different, but at least see what the stats are on each of their champions, so that you know, okay, well, I need to get this champion. I have these champions, but what gear do I put on them, right? So you can at least go through and go, okay, well, if I get this guy's defense to this, or his resistance to this, or his accuracy to this, I'll be more successful. Now, it will still suck in the case of, well, we really need like a stun set or a regen set to make this successful. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see that, but anything can help, right? Anything can help. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. I will be doing a secondary video because they did show what champions are coming out with this fusion that's coming out in tomorrow. So I will be doing a second video going over their abilities and taking a review of them. So watch out for that video. But that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about these changes, if you like them or you don't. And what you think about Eurogrim, poor Eurogrim. And other than that, if you like what you've seen and you want to see more, hit the like button and join the Hive by hitting the subscribe button. And we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.